If you saw what happened with BIM from early 2000s all the way through about the 2010s, there were forums, community boards where it was never I know all, I'm sitting here with my own, my own solution and I'm going to do it my way. It was always about like, what is the other person doing? How can we learn from that? How can we apply it to ours? But then giving feedback, and there's that whole feedback loop. How are you guys connecting? Like, besides just yourself and reaching out and getting this done, is there almost a way for everybody in the company now to start communicating these or to start understanding these ideas across the board?
Internally, we have what we call as the idea mill. And the idea mill is a platform to where you can upload your idea or request for a pilot. So say the umbrella thing we were talking about prior to the show, right? This alternative to cranes. Somebody comes up with that thought where they're like, hey, I really want to use umbrella on my next project. They upload it into our idea mill. It gets notified to certain individuals. And then we start to look at it as, hey, can we pilot this? Can we help fund it? So our innovation team has a budget of we'll call a bucket of money that we can kind of divvy out and be like, all right, so that the project doesn't have to feel that. We can say, hey, we'll give you $10,000 towards this effort, but for it, we want to hear how it did. We want to build a pilot plan on like what you expect to achieve from this, your gains, and then what would we do if this worked really well and how do we scale it? So that's one example of how we're giving people opportunities to do that. The other side of that idea mill is the solution space. When we were at ConExpo, right, I had a whole freaking 3 pages of cool links and tech and all this fun stuff. We uploaded into our solution space. So now people, when they're kind of bored or just want a brain break, can start going on to idea mill, go to the solution space. Oh, here's really cool stuff that Milwaukee's doing. Oh, look what Hilti did, right? Or here's an Alaska structure that you could use as a cooling shack. Like just kind of thinking outside the box. And then often we'll get somebody that'll be like, hey, tell me more about this. What else we've done is, so when I took this position 2.5 years ago, there wasn't like a core group of field innovators. So I spent a lot of time traveling and trying to identify those right who's and be like, hey, you're a really good builder, or you're in our prefab facility and have some great ideas. Come to this teams group, and we just call it Field Innovation Core Group. We meet once a month where I'll kind of highlight some stuff that I've seen, maybe a pilot that we're doing in parts of the country. I'll get, Hilti or Milwaukee or JLG to come speak to the group, and we'll kind of just chop it up, right? And then share that stuff. And then what also we do on the Teams chat is there's constantly people throwing in links and ideas. And what I'm pretty proud of is in less than 2.5 years, that group started with 4, and now we're at 87, right? So, it's small growth in like don't anticipate it to blow up, but the fact that now we have all of these individuals around the company starting to have this conversation, I feel like field innovation is starting to be kind of cool, right? And it's starting to be kind of one of those things that people are like, hey, have you heard of so-and-so, right? Or have you done this with, Henning and the robot? And we're just kind of starting to work towards, like we talked about at the beginning of the show, like trying to make things cool, make it fun, make people excited about what is happening on their job site, right? That's still a barrier that we need to build. But
yeah, and it's incredible that DPR is actually giving you guys, enough rope to hang yourself, but to go do it, to go actually be successful with it.
That's our job, right? Like if we're not doing pilots and we're not spending this money and we're not getting teams to want to engage with us, then we're doing something wrong, right? And you're right. We are very fortunate to have DPR's corporate leadership believe in this ever forward mentality so much that they give us money, our salaries, time, right? Autonomy, like to think outside the box and do some cool, because I have a lot of fun in what I do, right? Like this, been in the construction industry over 20 years, and the last 2.5 has been the highlight of my career with the most fun that I think you really can have. That's just me.